Hi everyone, welcome back to Lulumath. This video is on solving systems of equations with non-integer solutions because the world isn't pretty all the time and we won't always get nice even answers. So I know that people really struggle with fractions and decimals as answers, but you shouldn't ever let them scare you because you just treat them exactly like you would treat any other numbers, okay? So the first question that we have here is asking us to solve the following system of equations using any method that we would like. So our first equation is 6x plus 2y equals 12, and our second equation is 3x minus 4y equals 15. Because we can use any method that we would like, I'm going to choose to use substitution as my method for this question right here. And then the next question, I'm going to use elimination for it, just so we can get a little bit of variety on how to solve systems of equations. So if you take a look, we have 6x here, we've got 2y here, and we've got 12 here. And if I were to isolate the x, that would mean I would have to divide everything by 6. And because 2 is not evenly divisible by 6, I'll get a fraction. I'm going to avoid isolating that x. But if you look at this 2y right here, I can divide 6 by 2 and I can divide 12 by 2, which means that that might be the easiest thing to isolate. So I'm going to isolate the y in the first equation. Okay, so let's go ahead and write this down. 6x plus 2y equals 12. So to do that, I'm going to subtract the 6x from both sides. The 6x is going to go away. 6x minus 6x is nothing. So I get 2y, equals, these are not like terms, so I'm just going to write it down as 12 minus 6x. I'm going to divide both sides by 2 to get the y alone. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I want to know what 1y is equal to. 12 divided by 2 is 6, and negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3x right here. Negative 6x divided by 2 is negative 3x. All right, so now I'm going to substitute this into my blue equation. Okay, so let's go ahead and write down our blue equation that we have here. So it's 3x minus 4y equals 15. And instead of y, I'm going to replace the y with the expression 6 minus 3x right here. So this y is going to go, it's going to be replaced with 6 minus 3x. Remember, the goal is to get to a point where I have an equation with just one variable that I can solve. So I'm going to copy down the 3x that we have right here. So I'll do this in blue because that's it's not changing. So 3x minus 4, but now I'm going to substitute in the 6 minus 3x right here instead of y equals 15. Well, now I have just one variable. So let's go ahead and continue solving this right here. So I'm going to distribute this negative 4. Remember, it's a negative 4, so make sure you distribute that through. So I'll copy down the 3x. Now, negative 4 times 6 is negative 24. And negative 4 times negative 3x becomes a positive 12x, and that's equal to 15. Collect your like terms, so 3x plus 12x is 15x, minus 24 is equal to 15, okay? I'm going to add 24 to both sides right here, and I end up getting 15x is equal to 39, okay? Divide both sides by 15, and I end up getting x equals 39 over 15. Now, 15 does not go into 39 evenly. So what I'm going to do is look for a common factor. What can I divide 39 and 15 both by? Well, they're both evenly divisible by 3. So 39 divided by 3 is 13. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So that means that x is going to equal 13 over 5. Well, now that I know what x is, I can take either equation that's given to me up here, either the purple equation or the blue equation, and I can substitute this in order to solve for my missing value, which is x, which is y. So I'm going to take my purple equation, which is 6x plus 2y equals 12. It really doesn't matter, whichever one you prefer. And I'm going to substitute this 13 over 5 in for x right here. So I'm going to say 6 times 13 over 5 plus 2y equals 12. Okay, so right here, this is 6 over 1. We have an invisible 1 right here. So I'm going to look and see, is there anything that will cancel out? So we would cross cancel a numerator with a denominator, a numerator up here with this numerator up here with this denominator. I'm going to see if there's anything in common. Well, 6 and 1 have nothing in common. 13 and 5 don't have anything in common. This 6 and this 5 don't have anything in common. And this 1 and this 13 don't have anything in common. So I'm just going to multiply straight across. So 6 times 13 is 78, okay? 1 times 5 is 5. So I get 78 over 5 plus 2y equals 12. Well, I'm going to solve for y the same way I normally would. I want to get rid of this 78 over 5 that we have right here. So in order to get rid of it, since it's a positive 78 over 5, I'm going to subtract 78 over 5. Well, whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side right here. So I end up getting 2y equals 12 over 1, this has an invisible 1, minus 78 over 5. Well, I'm going to get a common denominator here, so that way I can get a single value, collect these like terms together. So my common denominator would be 5. So right here, all I have to do is just multiply numerator and denominator by 5 right here. So I end up getting 2y equals 5 times 12 right here is 60. 5 times 1 is 5, so I get 60 over 5 minus 78 over 5. Well, now that I've done that right here, I can collect my like terms. So 60 over 5 minus 78 over 5 is negative 18 over 5. That's what 2y is equal to. And then the last thing that I need to do is divide by 2. Okay, so I end up getting y equals this whole expression that we have right here. Okay, but remember that when you divide by 2, it's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, so this is 2 over 1. So it's essentially negative 18 over 5. I'm going to multiply here instead of divide, okay? And then the reciprocal of 2 over 1 is 1 over 2 right here. Now I'm going to see if there's anything that can cancel. Well, negative 18 right here and 2 are both divisible by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. Negative 18 divided by 2 is negative 9. So now I'm just going to multiply across. So I'm going to multiply this negative 9 times this 1 right here, which is negative 9. And then I'm going to multiply this 5 times this 1 over here, which is 5. So that means that y is equal to negative 9 over 5. So that gives me a solution of, we know x right here is 13 over 5, and we know that y is negative 9 over 5. So my solution is 13 over 5, negative 9 over 5. Okay? Now, alternately, if we have fractions like this one right here that end up being terminating decimals, then we can change these into decimals as well. By changing them into decimals, it might be easier, but if we have repeating decimals, like 1/3 divides out to be 0.3 repeating, we can change them to, we can't change those fractions into decimals because then our answers will not be fully accurate, okay? So make sure you keep that in mind. So here, if I were to divide 13 by 5, 13 divided by 5 is 2.6. Okay, so that means that when I get to this step right here, I can copy down my purple equation, 6x plus 2y equals 12, okay? I can do 6 times 2.6 right here, plus 2y equals 12. And then I'm just going to go ahead and multiply the 6 by 2.6. So I get 15.6 plus 2y equals 12, okay? Subtract the 15.6 from both sides right here, and I end up getting 2y equals negative 3.6. Divide both sides by 2, and I end up getting y equals negative 1.8, which is exactly what negative 9 over 5 is right here. So we can also say that our solution is 2.6 negative 1.8. But again, just a reminder that we can only convert to decimals if the decimals terminate. So in other words, no repeating decimals. You have to keep them in fractions because otherwise our answers will not be accurate. Okay? Okay, in the next question, we're asked to solve the following system of equations using any method that we would like. So if you take a look right here, we have, again, I'll highlight the top one as our purple equation and the bottom one as our blue equation. And this time I'm going to use elimination just to kind of change it up a little bit. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, I can choose to cancel out the C's or I can choose to cancel out the D's. It's up to you, whatever you prefer. I'm going to cancel out the D's. So if you look right here, I've got 2C plus 5D equals 2. And since this is 5D, and in my other one, I have a 10D, a negative 10D, which is nice because they're opposite signs, which is exactly what I want. I'm going to find out what the LCD or LCM, the least common multiple of 5 and 10 is. So the least common multiple of 5 and 10 is just 10, which means that our blue equation right here doesn't have to change at all. So I can just say 2C minus 10D equals negative 1. Now for the top one right here, to get this 5 to get to a 10, I have to multiply by 2. So when I multiply by 2, 2 times 2C right here is 4C, okay? 2 times 5D is 10D, and don't forget to do the other side of your equation. 2 times 2 is 4. So now we've got this plus 10D and this minus 10D are going to cancel each other out because that gives us 0. So now I can just add my two equations together. So 4C plus 2C is equal to 6C. 10D minus 10D is nothing. They cancel each other out. And then 4 and negative 1 together is equal to 3. Divide both sides by 6 to get that C alone, and that ends up giving us 3 over 6. Well, 3 over 6 is not evenly divisible, so I'm going to reduce it. They both have a 3 in common. They're both divisible by 3, so I end up getting C equals 1/2. And that should make sense to you because 3 is half of 6. All right, well, now that I know what C is, I can take any equation I'd like and solve for D. So I'm going to take my purple equation, again, totally up to you. I'm going to use the purple one. 2C plus 5D equals 2. And instead of C, I'm going to replace the C with 1/2. So this is going to be 2 times 1/2 plus 5D equals 2. Okay, now 2 times a half, this is just pretty much saying 2 sets of a half. So a half plus a half gives us a whole. But let's see why this ends up working. So 2 over 1, because this has an invisible 1 right here, times 1 over 2. This 2 and this 2 are both divisible by 2, and I get 1. So 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 divided by 1 is also 1, so this ends up giving me just 1. So I get 1 plus 5D equals 2. So now that I've done that, I just have to subtract the 1 from both sides, and I get 5D equals 1. Divide everything by 5, and I get D equals 1/5. So that means that my solution, remember when we write our solution out, we always do it in alphabetical order. So since C comes before D, we'll just say it's 1/2, 1/5, or we could just say C equals 1/2, D equals 1/5, and we are done. Okay. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below or by visiting lulumath.com. You can find the blank notes sheet for this video on my website, as well as the filled-in notes sheet. So again, visit lulumath.com and you can find all of that there. And as always, please subscribe and share these videos with people that might find it useful. Okay, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.